Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we had our best season yet, and we are continuing to improve in all areas of our team, which is awesome. It's mainly probably because we brought in a good defenseman at last year's draft that it maybe helped us about defensively, but we also picked up a lot of points from our top guns again for the second straight season, so we are probably going to be having to give somebody like Jaskalainen a pretty big contract this offseason, and it should be a pretty good offseason as well because we have a pretty stacked draft ahead of us, and we also do have the first overall pick for the very first time, which is awesome to see considering this draft is looking really good, at least for the first top 5. Like literally all these guys could be potentially first overall picks. It just depends on which one we want. Like we kind of look between the two of these guys. They actually have the exact same like stats, and they're both the exact same type of players. Just one is younger, one's a gem though, and that's pretty much the difference between the two of them. Also, X factors are a difference between the two of them too. One has more than the other, so it should be a tough decision on who we actually take at this draft. And then also we have like good Branson, who's really good, DeMaio's really good, and Dubinsky are all really good. Like I feel like all these guys could be probably 80 plus overall, which is absolutely nuts. And I don't think I've ever seen 3 gems in the top 5 before, so we are gonna have a fun time deciding on who we want to take with the first overall pick this year, I think. So anyways, before we get into the draft in the entire offseason, we do have a few comments to go over. So the first one is from HawksFan88. He says, tough call with your pick. I'm leaning towards Dominguez because he has goal scoring listed as one of his strengths. So let's take a look at Dominguez because there's a lot of other people that say to go for other players, and I kind of have a good idea on who I want to go with. So he says to go with Victor Dominguez. As I was mentioning, he has the exact same type of stats as Sea-Doo. He is 1 year younger. The only thing that I wouldn't take him about is because of the X factors, because it looks like right now he does have a zone ability potentially and only 3 superstar abilities, but you go to someone like Sam Sea-Doo, he's got 4 superstar abilities and 1 zone ability, so I feel like Sea-Doo might be the better of the 2 options to go with, even if he is a year older than Dominguez. Like Dominguez might be only a few months younger or something like that, so it doesn't really matter too much, but I feel like these two guys will be compared around the entire league for their entire careers, just because both of them are from the WHL as well, so they have faced each other in terms of the WHL, and then in the NHL it would be kind of crazy if they faced each other for a Stanley Cup Finals at some point. The next comment is from Mike Garbrand. He says, anyone you take, you can't miss, but I'd go for a center. So he's saying that anyone doesn't really matter who we go with, but he's saying he would recommend us going with either Abel Goodbranson, who looks pretty good as well. The only difference between him and the first 2 picks that we were just looking at is that his physical stats aren't as good because obviously he's a playmaker, and the other 2 are power forwards, so that's the only difference really between the 3 of them. So legit, any of those guys could be a first overall pick, which is pretty nuts. And then he also said another center, like he said that any of the centers, and the other center is Dubinsky. Now Dubinsky is oddly enough the 4th best player in this draft. DeMaio is the weakest out of the top 5. Then again, DeMaio is a gem though. But there is Dubinsky's stats. He's good enough as Goodbranson. So basically how I see this draft going is how our scouts actually have it ranked. So Dominguez, then Sea-Doo, then probably Goodbranson, Dubinsky, and DeMaio would probably go in at number 5. So regardless, it's going to be a stacked top 5 on who goes where. I think I'm leaning more towards one of these power forwards because I feel like the power forwards still could win faceoffs, because usually when you draft a medium elite player, for some reason, even if they don't have center listed as one of their positions, they could actually win faceoffs. Like they have like 78 on faceoffs. So I feel like we could still take one of these power forwards and not lose out on a center, because we could use one of them as a center instead of going with either Goodbranson or Dubinsky. So I feel like we'll probably end up going with Sea-Doo just because I have the more X factors. Because yeah, I feel like the more X factors is the better. Then again, Dominguez might be a little bit better, but who knows? So it's going to be a really tough decision when we make our choice, but whatever. And the next and final comment is from Jeff Brielinski. He says, draft the center, the playmaking one. So he's talking about Goodbranson, which I'm not opposed to taking Goodbranson, but I feel like, I don't know, I just, like if we look at the X factors again between the 3 of those guys, Goodbranson also has just as much as Dominguez does, and if we're going based off X factors, I feel like Sea-Doo would be probably the best of the bunch, So I think I still will take C2, but I do see the argument for taking a good center playmaker, because obviously if you put him next to like a sniper, then it will help us out in terms of scoring a lot. But I think I still will take C2, to be honest. But this is a really stacked draft. I don't think we could go wrong with whoever we take. So I kind of wish we didn't have the first overall pick this year, because I would rather just take the next best option, considering I don't really know who should go first to an extent. So but that's that. Let's get into this draft, and then we'll get into the re-sign stage and get our team set up for next season, which should be pretty interesting, because a lot of guys will probably have to be playing in the AHL, because we'll have to make some decisions on who plays in the NHL and who doesn't. So let's get into this draft and see what we could grab at number 1. So yeah, these 5 teams are going to get some really good players. More than likely, Philadelphia is going to get a really good player at number 2. They actually want to move that pick, which is kind of interesting, but obviously we do not make trades in this franchise mode. It's all just about drafting with our picks. So let's get into our first overall pick, because we have only 2 minutes and 40 seconds to decide on who we want to go with. And I think I'm going C2, to be honest, because of the more X factors and the fact he's a gem. Like I was saying, Dominguez looks pretty good, but the only thing I don't like really is the fact that he has less X factors than someone like Sam Seedoo. And if we're going off X factors, I think Seedoo is the best player probably in this top 5 by that category. Because Curtis DeMaio apparently doesn't even have his zone ability, which is pretty nuts. So he's definitely the weakest of the bunch. So we wouldn't definitely go with him. And then the 2 centers, I don't really think I'd go with them. So it would come down to Dominguez and Seedoo, which are pretty much the exact same type of player. Just one's a bit older, one's a gem, one has more X factors, and then the other one is the same overall and younger. So I think I'm going to go with Sam Seedoo, even though Victor Dominguez is probably just as good, or maybe a little bit better, and he's supposed to go first. But I think Sam Seedoo could be the better player long term. So welcome to Houston, Sam Seedoo. Let's make a good pick here. And he's an 84 overall medium elite power forward. Jesus, that's a high up overall. Didn't expect him to be that good out of the draft. Okay, we have a legitimate second liner on our team now, and he looks like a filthy player. Jeez. Okay, so that was a really good pick. But then again, the next pick could probably also be an 84. So there's all his zone abilities in case you wanted to take a look at that. So yeah, this guy's just a very strong player on the puck. And he should be able to score a lot of goals because he's got good shooting, good passing, all that type of thing. So between him and Gene Thornton being in our top 6, so like we should be able to score a lot. He does also have 80 on faceoffs, so as I was mentioning, he should be able to win faceoffs. So we might try him at center on that second line behind Jaskalainen this year, and that will also give us a lot of points probably. And maybe he could also run his own power play unit. So that was a pretty good pick, but now comes the question on what the rest of the top 5 is going to look like, because like I said, I think this might be the most stacked top 5 of a draft I've ever seen with the amount of gems and stuff. So at number 2, Philadelphia is going to take Dominguez, who's also an 84. This draft class quality is also at medium, it's not at high, so this is a legitimate like crazy top 5. So Dominguez is just as good. And let me see, between the two of them, they look like they have the exact same stats, like legit. Yeah, they have the exact same individual stats as well. So who's going to become the better of the 2 players? I think it would probably be Seedoo, because Dominguez does have less X factors. But then again, they're different type of players, because Dominguez gets screen goalies. He's also strong on the puck, that type of thing. But I think Seedoo might be the better of the 2 because of the X factor category. But that's still crazy top 2. I've never seen 2 players have the same overall, and it could go either way. Arizona at number 3 is going to take Goodbranson, who's an 82, so another guy that could be technically a first overall pick in another year. This guy's got good face-off stats, and pretty much that's that. Good skating, good passing, what you'd expect from a playmaker. I could have taken him, but he is definitely worse overall-wise than the other 2, but still very good of a player. We go to Seattle at number 4. They get an 80 overall in DeMaio, so I don't know why they took DeMaio. I'm kind of surprised on that, because he definitely was the weakest of the bunch, but he does actually have a lot of X factors, and he does have a zone ability, which we didn't actually see from our scouts, so that's actually a decent one there, because he does have more X factors than the rest of these players, almost except for our player. So that's interesting. He's also a playmaker, which is interesting. Didn't expect him to be a playmaker. And then Florida at number 5 is going to take Sikora, the defenseman, instead of an elite player. Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. 76 OFD. which means Ottawa's going to get gifted a medium elite. Yeah, they get gifted a medium elite in Dubinsky, who falls to 6 at 80 overall. But regardless, this is a crazy top like 6 in the draft. Wow. Okay, so that's the top 6 of the draft. We're now going to sim up to our second round pick and see what we can get at number 34. But so far, so good in terms of what we drafted, I think. So I think we got to go with the right-handed defenseman. We do need more defenders. This guy could be top 4 potential. He's only 17. I think this makes sense because we definitely need a good mix of like defensive prospects and forward prospects. So we'll take Reed Roach because why not? He's got a cool name too. He's a top 6 D64 overall, so I was hoping more for a top 4, but I will take it. I just hope he develops into being something. He might be in our lineup this year. He might be in the AHL, who knows. We go to our pick in round number 3. We could potentially grab Tursunbayev, who I had pinned as a potential low elite, but I really don't know if he's a low elite. We do need centers, so I think Tursunbayev is an automatic take just in case he's a good center. So yeah, we'll take Vladimir Tursunbayev, and also he can play in the AHL if he's not good enough. He's a low top 6, 63 overall, so that's not too bad. If he gets some good development, he could end up being a top 6 forward at some point, so I will definitely take that in this 3rd round. Let's sim to the 4th round now and see what we can grab here. Another defenseman, Connor Green. Doesn't look too good, but 3-year ETA. Yeah, this draft quality has dropped off a lot since the top like 6, I think. Or the 1st round, probably. Which means we're going to get stuck with somebody that's not that good. This guy might have some good shooting, but he is listed as a bust, which I don't like. 4-year ETA is not too bad. A 4-year ETA usually is for low elites and low top 9s, I think. So this guy might not be bad. But the Smolinski guy is listed as a gem. So I think I'm going to take him. He might be medium elite. And he's medium top 4, okay. So some good potential there. Hopefully he develops in the minors. That gives us another defensive prospect for the minors, which is something we could always use a ton of. We go to the 5th round now, see what we could get. Eugene O'Neill. Doesn't look great. 4-year ETA. Scouts are recommending us one of these 3 players. This Johansson guy's not too bad, but he's a 20-year-old goalie already. 5-year ETA and a defenseman with a 4-year ETA probably. I'm leaning towards LaRock because he could be a sniper. I don't know if he's good though. Like with a 5-year ETA, he might be like just a bottom 6 or something, or a low top 9. But we're going to take him just to throw a random prospect out there. Medium bottom 6 playmaker, so yeah, nothing too spectacular. Maybe he becomes something at some point, but he's more probably going to be just filling out the AHL club, I would assume. What else do we got here in the 6th round? We could go with a goalie that looks actually not too bad and has a 2-year ETA. So I think we're going to just take another goalie, give us another one to the rotation. So welcome aboard Jacob Cambeats from Peterborough, and he's a 71 medium backup. So another good overall of a goalie. We could try him at the NHL level if we want to, but legitimate, we have a lot of goalies that we could decide from in the future, which is something good because we want to find the right one that works for us. So. And finally, our 7th round pick, which is our last pick of this draft, we are going to try and find us a steal here, but I don't know if we will be able to because it's always hard to find a 7th round steal. This guy might be a lowly, probably not though. And this guy's got some interesting stats. Chad Lutzer, but he's looking like a bottom 6. I might go with one of the 3 that look like they're elite players. I think I might just go with Duke Ferraro because his name's Duke. Yeah, let's go with Duke. He's also a center, so it's something we need. And he is a low elite grinder. Let's go. That was actually a really good pick. So we get a center, which is something we need. He doesn't have a good face-off stats, though, which kind of sucks, but he's a grinder, so somebody that might help us out on the penalty kill. And he's also low elite, so he might end up developing into being something good. So that was a pretty successful draft, I would say, for the most part. We definitely got our stud in Sea-Doo, and then we also got some other good prospects that we could use for center positioning, defensive spots, and then also a goalie prospect in case we don't have a good sim from any of the other goalies we play with. So I like that. Not too bad. Now comes the fun part where we got to get to the re-sign stage and sign Jaskalainen to an 8-year deal, and then hopefully the other guys that we have to qualify come down in price a little bit, because last year they got paid quite a bit. So first, let's get to the UFAs and get rid of all these AI guys, and we'll figure out who we need to actually sign back again when we get to the free agent status part, just because we need to fill out our roster once we know what we need still. But there is a lot of guys we'll probably still have to sign for the minors for now, but we are getting close to filling out both rosters in the NHL and AHL, which is good. But at some point we are going to need to, or at some point we're going to have to let go of some of the guys we draft, which really sucks. Okay, so let's go to our RFAs. So Jaskalainen obviously is going to get the big contract. We are going to give him an 8-year deal. He wants 11.9, so I got to do ourselves the 85% trick, just so we could get wait, it's times 0.85, I think. Yeah, so we should be able to get him down to 10.115 if I'm not mistaken. I hope he accepts that. So we'll do one, we'll just give him a little bit more than that, 8 years. He's definitely worth it. Then we go Karostin. He's going to get qualified for now, but we are going to try and get him for a little bit less. Yeah, we're going to probably qualify the rest of these guys. Hopefully a lot of these guys' asking prices come down a bit, because, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Mikonov also needs to get qualified. Turris needs to be qualified. Sim will probably want just a 2-way deal. No, he wants to be qualified as well. Okay. But eventually these guys' asking prices should come down, realistically, I would assume. So those guys are all qualified. Goalie-wise, yeah, we'll qualify the 2 of them as well. Why not? Actually, wait, does Colin want a 2-way deal? No, he doesn't. Okay. And then we go to our unsigned players that we just drafted. Let's get these guys all signed up for the AHL. Very excited for next year, because I'm excited to see what Sea-Doo could bring to this team. Because obviously once we get more depth scoring, we're going to be a better team. And also Sea-Doo might be good defensively to help us out a little bit. So we'll sign all these guys up, and that is good. Let's advance a day and see if we get all those guys back, especially Jaskalainen. Go to our RFAs, and Jaskalainen did accept, so that's perfect. So Jaskalainen is signed up for 8 years. That's huge. Now all these guys are RFAs at the moment, but we'll try and get them for less once we get to free agency. So we're at 25 of 50 contracts, but once we get these guys signed, we have an extra, let's see, 5 out of 5 forwards, and defensemen, 3 defensemen, 2 goalies. What do we got here so far? So we got enough goalies for sure, I'd say. Defensively, once we get our RFAs back, we have how much in our main roster? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we could probably use like a couple more defensemen, like maybe 3 or 4 more defensemen in the system. Or actually, wait, there's some in the AHL as well, so we might be actually fine on defenders. Not 100% sure of that though. Yeah, actually, let's just wait till we get to free agency to figure out what we exactly needs to still sign. But hopefully those RFAs come down in price. A lot of them are accepting now, which is good. The ones that are holding out, though, we'll have to figure out how much that we can give them. So who is still holding out for a contract? It's probably that 78, right? Let's see, RFA. So yeah, Karostin still needs a contract. Malhotra, Dubnyk, and Holloway, and then the 2 goalies. You know what? I'm fine with giving. Actually, 1 year at 850, I could give him that easily. But I'm gonna have to give some players to fill out a roster some really crazy contracts for the time being. Let's give 950 for 1 year. See if he accepts that. I don't really care if it's a one-way deal, to be honest. And then these guys, let's see if we can get Karostin down. He still wants $5 million, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, we could probably wait a little bit still on these guys, because I don't think any other teams are going to go after them, to be honest. I'll try and get Holloway for like 950 as well. And then these other 3 will wait a little bit, but hopefully the AI doesn't automatically give them like $3 million. So, yeah, let's just take a look at what we actually need for our roster, and then we'll sign some players up. So currently we got 4 centers in the NHL, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players, 11, 12, 13. So I think we're almost pretty much good in terms of forwards in the NHL, and yeah, we're pretty much good in terms of forwards in the NHL, I would say, and defensemen. It's more just about filling out our AHL squad at this point. Yeah, I think so. So in the system-wise then, in terms of the AHL, what do we got down there? We got, let's go by centers. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we probably need like 3 defensemen and like a lot of forwards. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we need is 3 defensemen and a lot of forwards. So let's sign up some depth players for the AHL and ones to fill out our roster. Let's go down to potential. So we'll get 3 defensemen in for the AHL, and we'll give some of them like ridiculous contracts just to get us closer to the cap floor. And give you 18 mil as well, and that should be good for the $18 million contracts. And 1 year for you, boom. So there's some defenders down there for the minors. Then we need to get some more forwards for the AHL. Let me just make sure this is sorted by overall, so we can get the lowest ones possible that have no potential. There's one called Mr. Talberg. I think he's been in our AHL system before. He wants over $1 million. You ain't getting over $1 million, man. It's probably because of how he played down there in the minors, I would assume. Actually, we could sort this just by potential. Why not? It makes it a little bit easier. We get Nilsson signed. Some of these guys that were literally playing in our AHL squad want one-way deals, which is kind of dumb. Stop wanting one-way deals, but you're not going to get a one-way deal because nobody else is going to offer you a one-way deal. Let's see what we got here. So that's 4 forwards so far. What else we got here for forwards? A lot of defensemen. Elba will sign up as well for the AHL. Same with this Mellberg dude. So yeah, we'll sign Mellberg up for 1 year in the AHL because I don't like giving these guys multiple years, especially with the amount of prospects we have every year coming in. Liljegren. Yeah, Liljegren is going to get a 1 year deal. That's another 8 forwards. I'll sign maybe 2 more, and then we'll sim and see if we have enough players because I don't want to sign too much players for the AHL. 850 and Omen. 1 year as well. Perfect. Okay, let's advance a few days and see if we get all those guys, and we'll also try and get our RFAs for less closer to the end of the month. I think some of them are rejecting, which is kind of interesting. Oh, those are some of our players, I think, that were rejecting. Go sign to free agents. Let me just go back to that. I don't know who was rejecting. Let's go to RFAs. See if we could get these guys for less now. Oh, there we go. 2-way deal. That's perfect. Dubnik. That's less than it was before. I'll still give him a little bit less than that. We'll try and get him down to 1.2. Malhotra still wants a decent amount. I'm okay with giving these guys like 1 point something just to keep us close to the cap. And then Koroson's still going to be the most expensive one. I'll give him a 1 year deal, try and get him down to like 3.5. I don't really care if I'm paying him a lot of money at the moment. But once the money actually matters, then it's going to be kind of annoying. Yeah, I'll give you a 2-way deal for Khan, and the other guy has been sent to contract too, apparently. Let's advance a few more days. See if we get those guys accepted. Looks like some are accepting. There was some rejections in there. I don't know if there were guys I was trying to go after in free agency or not. No, it was these two. Can you guys please accept? Let's just give him a 1-way deal on what he wants. That's fine with me. And then the goalies are all accepted. So let's advance today. We only have 9 million left in cap space because we signed those random 2 free agents to like $18 million deals. There we go. Got those guys both accepted. So let me just take a look and make sure we have everything good for our roster to start up for next season. So NHL squad's obviously okay. But in the system, let me see what we got here. Forward wise, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12 only. Okay. So we might need to sign 1 or 2 more forwards. And then defensively, we're fine. And goalie-wise, we're fine as well. Okay, so yeah, we definitely just need to sign maybe another couple forwards for the AHL. But other than that, we are pretty much good to go for next season. Should be exciting to see who ends up making the squad next year, because we're going to have to decide on who wants to play in the AHL and who doesn't. So let's go by potential. And we'll sign this Paku guy up for the AHL for 1 year. Why not? And we'll also sign Dyke as well for the AHL. Both of them should accept. They weren't accepting before, which is interesting, but we'll see if they'll accept now, since their contracts have came down. And yep, they're both going to accept as well. So now that is done, let's sim up to next season and get our lines set up and see who we have to play in the AHL for this year. I think we'll probably play the younger guys in the AHL that aren't that good. That way they could develop as fast as possible, because I feel like playing in the AHL would be better for some of them, because obviously they wouldn't be losing in the NHL. But you never know. We just want to find like the best fit possible, like chemistry wise and all that. Okay, so let's go to edit lines and set up this team. So scratched right now, that's fine, but we'll see who's down there in the minors that shouldn't be first, just in case there's anybody that's a high overall that shouldn't be. Ozelinch was with our team last year, but if we look at our defensive core right now, it's either him or Roach. I guess we'll have to figure out who has better chemistry between the two of them. But actually, I might call him up instead of Christopoulos, because Christopoulos has no potential, but we'll figure that out in a sec. So let's get our top line set up. So we got to go back to the line that we had last season, which is, yeah, Morales, Thornton, and Jaskalainen. And we have really good chemistry on our forward core now with Sam Sidhu, which I'm really excited about. So Sidhu, Korostin, and Malhotra? Or do we move Forster up? Interesting. I think I'll go with this because Malhotra's more offensively minded, but we'll definitely try Forster there for now. Who's the better of the two face-off man? Pasquale is definitely... Wow, Pasquale's a really good face-off man. He might end up being on this team full-time. I don't know, if he continues to develop. And then fourth line-wise, Goldobin, Zubov, and Holloway. That's fine. This is actually looking like a pretty good squad right now. Mostly everybody's above a 70 overall. Like, we're looking pretty good. And then defensively, we'll go back to Teratukin and Dubnik, because that was together last year. We will try moving Roach up. That doesn't really help. Just got to check who doesn't fit this team well. Let me see if we'll call up, what's his name? We'll send Roach down for a second and call up the other defenseman just to see if there's a bit better of a chemistry boost there for that top 6 pairing. If not, it's not the end of the world. So yeah, we'll just call up Ozelinch and we'll send down Roach, because Roach is younger as well, so he should probably get a chance to play at the AHL level. But we will just see who has the better fit. Is Ozelinch a better fit there? He is not. He's a terrible fit there, actually, with Turris. So Ozelinch, you're going back down to the minors, even though he did spend time with us last season, which kind of sucks. But we got to go with the one that has better chemistry, and that is going to be Roach, who's going to be playing in his first season in the NHL. So we'll go back here and throw him in. Actually, that's minus now too. Why is that changing up? That makes no sense. It's weird. It might be a glitch, to be honest. Goalies wise, actually looks pretty solid this year. We got some depth there, but I don't want all forwards as depth. I need a depth defenseman, so I guess we'll call up Ozelinch as a depth defender. Yeah, we'll call him up as a depth. Actually, we don't really even need depth in the NHL, because I don't think I have injuries on, do I? I don't think so. So I think we will send down our depth options to the AHL for now, because I don't think we've run into any injury troubles as well. Have we? I don't know. Have we had injuries on in this franchise mode? Because I don't remember if I had them off or on. Like, let's take a look at Mikonov. Has he missed any games? No, he hasn't. Yeah, so I think I have injuries off. So we'll send down all our depth options, which best AHL lines for a second. Let me just take a look. Who's our depth options again? Aegon, Seaback, and Sim. Aegon's a better overall than Holloway, but does he fit that line better? Let's take a look. He doesn't really, I don't think. What about Holloway again? Yeah, Holloway's the best fit for that fourth line, apparently. So yeah, I guess we'll just send down Seaback, Aegon, and Sim, so they actually have some playing time down there in the minors. And then the AHL team will get set up as well. So Seaback, Sim, and Holloway is what I was saying. Those three guys can go down. And actually, no, it wasn't Holloway. Who was it that I wanted to send down? Aegon. God damn it. We'll throw Aegon in for now, but I need to change the two of those because I completely forgot about that. There's too much players to try and remember in this franchise mode since I've drafted them all. So we'll do that and call up... No, it wasn't Sim, it was Holloway I needed to call up, I think. Go back to edit lines. Because we just need to have the best chemistry possible pretty much with our lines. And yep, that is good. AHL-wise, let's just go best lines down there. And scratch-wise, we need to get in our prospects. So we need to get in Smolinski. And that's the only one that needs to be thrown into the lineup instead of Lindroos. And then we'll try and get this chemistry better. There you go. That works already. Perfect. And goalie-wise, we'll run Kahn and Soderstrom. And then we also have... Wait. Don't we have another goalie? Oh, yeah. He must have went back to junior or something. Which is okay. Okay, that's good. So there's our forward lineup. So Morales, Jaskalainen, Thornton, Korostin, Seadu, Malhotra, Forster, Pasquale, Lannon, Goldobin, Zubov, and Holloway. So yeah, Forster is getting really good as well. So we have a lot of 80s in our lineup, which is nice. Defensively, we've got Teratugin, Dubnik, Christopoulos, and Mikonov, and Turris and Roach. We could always move Christopoulos down to the AHL because he has not really any potential, but he's a higher overall at this point. So that's why I'm doing that. And then goalie-wise, we got Janssen and Joseph. And our special teams units look not too bad for the first unit in terms of chemistry. We could always fiddle around with this to get better chemistry on the second unit, which I think is always something we could do, something like that. Maybe it's because we have a grinder on our power play, I don't know. And then our penalty kill looks like this, good chemistry there as well. So we're looking pretty good going into this next season. I would expect us to get at least 30 wins this year, but I'm not 100% sure with that. So that is that, and I think that's pretty much it. I probably will show you guys the faces for the new players that we drafted in next episode, just because this episode's already a little bit long. But let's take a quick look at our contract situation and draft class as well, just to see what is out there for this upcoming draft. So this year's draft is a defensive-heavy draft. The top 5 players are all defensemen, so that's actually really good for us because that's something we need. So thank you to the game for giving us a chance of getting a defenseman. Knowing us, well, this year we won't have a top 5 pick, but hopefully we could get one of these prospects into the club because a lot of them are right-handed defensemen too, which is something we don't have. So that is that, and let's take a quick look at the contract situation just to see who is up this offseason. So all expiring. So yeah, Gene Thornton is going to be the big contract this offseason. More than likely he's going to want a ton of money because he does score a lot of goals. So yeah, we're going to have to assign him to like $11 million or $10 million as well. And then we get into some other contracts like George Forster, who wants a decent amount of money. We could lock him up for 8 years. He only wants like $5 million. And then these other guys, we're going to hopefully come down in price a lot. Like Korostin wants like a lot of money. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in terms of the contracts that are up for renewal. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Houston Sharpshooters Draft to Glory franchise mode. So next episode, we will sim all the season, and hopefully we could still be kind of close to the bottom of the league to get another good pick in for our defensive core. Otherwise, our team is looking pretty good in terms of making the playoffs in maybe another 10 seasons. I don't know how long it's going to take, but let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.